Of all the videos in this series, this one will contain a lot of what may seem like minor miscellaneous changes. Part of that is because general design is such a broad topic. In truth, I'm not sure that general design is an accurate title for this video, but I didn't know what else I could call it. Some might consider these to be nitpicks, but a lot of these topics are a lot more complex than they may initially seem. It's also important to note that a lot of little things really add up, and I think it's safe to say that they can make or break an experience. So to kick things off, let's dive into Titanfall's in-game reward system. By in-game reward system, I'm referring to rewards in each actual multiplayer match, and not the progression system. I'll start with the in-game medals first, as this is an area I think could be heavily improved upon. Titanfall 2 has some pretty decent medal selections, but their biggest downfall is that it's so difficult to distinguish them from each other. The only ones that I can think of off the top of my head are the double kill, triple kill, mega kill, and first to fall medals. But even they all have a similar color scheme and shape. If it wasn't for your faction leader calling them out, I probably wouldn't notice when I receive a medal at all. I think this Reddit thread really sums it up perfectly. For this section of the video, I really tried to find a list of all the medals in Titanfall 2. I searched in the game menus, Reddit, and the Titanfall wiki, but couldn't find anything, which I think highlights just how irrelevant they feel in-game. As much as this is a really tiny issue, I still feel that it should be improved, and I have a few suggestions on how to do it. The first thing I can think of is to resolve the issue that I'm having right now, where I can't even find a list of all my medals. An area of the stats section called Medal Chest should be added, where players can view how many of each medal they've earned. This will help players identify which medals are the most valuable, and make them feel rewarded when they actually earn them in-game. A nice additional feature would be if people could compare their medal chests with their friends, so they could brag a little bit about having some of the more coveted medals. This was a feature on Bungie.net back in the Halo days, and how many perfection medals a player had was usually at the center of many virtual dick measuring contests. And since we're on the topic of Halo, I think it's probably the best example of how a medal system should be made. I don't think that any game's medal set can even come close to comparing to the iconic sound of Just Deitzer announcing multi-kills. There was even a song about the Killionaire medal, which I've probably heard sung into shitty Xbox 360 microphones over 1,000 times. To improve Titanfall's medals, the first change I would make would be for each medal to have a unique shape and color scheme. This would make each medal pop out a lot more and be much more identifiable for players. Instead of just having red and white circles with pictures inside, the medals can incorporate all sorts of different shapes like diamonds, triangles, stars, and skulls with a wide variety of bright colors and textures. I would also add some small text which informs the player how much that particular medal contributed to their build meter, something like minus 10 seconds or plus 10%. In addition to medal visuals, I also think that audio cues are pretty important as well. In Titanfall 2, some of the medals are announced by your faction leader, and I think this is actually a pretty great idea for some of the more rare medals. If this happened for every medal, I could easily see myself becoming frustrated and just telling Blisk to shut up. But I still think that audio is extremely important for the majority of medals in the game, so what if upon earning a medal, a short audio cue would play? These sounds would correlate with the medal tier. Let's say that there are 5 medal tiers: common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. Common medals would make no sound at all, uncommon medals would play a small audio cue, rare medals would play a noticeable audio cue, epic medals would play a more impressive audio cue, and legendary medals would play the most impressive audio cue. These would still be short and unobtrusive, as actual game audio is much more important for playing the game. And just like in Titanfall 2, your faction leader would also make comments on some of the medals that you earn, like double kills and triple kills. I also think that a medals section should be added to the post-game screen so that players can view which medals they earned in that particular match. As for what these medals could be, I have a few ideas. I personally think that I'm terrible at naming things, so don't judge me too harshly. First are some pretty basic ones like Headshot Kill, Assist, Titan Assist, Evac Kill, Extracted, Evac Denied, Sole Survivor, First to Fall, First Strike, Gooser, Buzzkill, Execution, Termination, and MVP. These are all pretty self-explanatory so long as you're familiar with first-person shooters and Titanfall. There could also be multi-kill medals like Double Kill, Triple Kill, Quadruple Kill, and Mega Kill, which shouldn't really come as a surprise to anyone. And as expected, there could also be streak medals. But I've always preferred when the streak medals were a bit more specific and interesting, or just had really cool names. A kill streak would be 3 kills in a row, a spree would be 5 kills in a row, but 10 kills in a row could be called something like Predator, 15 kills in a row could be called Exterminator, and 20 kills in a row could be called Reaper. Now these are still just generic streak medals, but what about more specific streaks? Getting 3 headshot kills could net you a precision streak medal. 3 melee kills would be a melee streak. 5 pilot or Titan assists would be an assist streak. 5 grenade or grenadier weapon kills would be an ordnance streak. And 7 kills or Titan dooms while in your Titan would be a Titan streak. This could also apply to using certain weapon classes. 5 assault rifle kills would be a rifle streak, 5 SMG kills would be an SMG streak, 5 LMG kills would be an LMG streak, and so on. However, for each of these streak medals there would also be a second tier version of it with a more unique name and harder requirements. 5 headshot kills would be a headhunter medal, 5 melee kills would be a brawler medal, 10 pilot or titan assists would be an unsung hero medal, 10 assault rifle kills would be a ranger medal, 10 SMG kills would be a flanker medal, 10 LMG kills would be an oppressor medal, 10 sniper rifle kills would be a sharpshooter medal, and 10 shotgun kills would be a buckshooter medal. For the Titan streak, however, I think it would be cool if each individual Titan had their own tier 2 streak medal. This would be a great way for players to show off their skills with a particular Titan. 15 kills or Titan dooms with Ion would be called an Ionize medal, Tones would be the Atonement medal, Monarchs would be the Reign of Terror medal, Ronins would be the Wraith medal, North Stars would be the Viper medal, Scorches would be the Purifier medal, and Legions would be the Bulletstorm medal. Moving away from streaks, there could also be some style-based medals, like medals that are tied to specific abilities. An X-Ray medal for getting a kill with Pulse Blade, a Stalker medal for getting 3 kills within 5 seconds of breaking Cloak, a Phase medal for killing a player by phasing through them with Phase Shift, a Juice medal for getting 3 kills while Stim is active, a Gotcha medal for grabbing and killing a player with Grapple, a Bamboozle medal for killing 2 players who fell for a Hollow Pilot without dying, and a Bulwark medal for getting a triple kill while Hardcover is active. But style medals could also apply to other situations, like a Denied medal for killing a player who is mid-melee lunge, a Close Call medal for killing a player and surviving with less than 20% of your health, Savior for saving a teammate and Avenger for avenging a teammate, a Shutdown medal for killing a player while they're using a tactical ability, a Phantom medal for killing a player after you've died, and a Peregrine medal for killing a player who's on the ground while you're ejecting. And last but not least, there would be the Legendary medals, which are the rarest and hardest medals to acquire. 2 that I can think of off the top of my head would be the Ace medal for killing all enemy pilots in a round of live fire, or all enemy titans in a round of Last Titan Standing. And the other one is a Legend medal for getting MVP without a single death and either winning the game or extracting. I could probably go on for quite a long time with more medal ideas, but I think you guys get the point by now. If you have any other medal suggestions, I would love to read them down in the comments section. The other part of Titanfall's in-game reward system that I think needs to be tweaked is the scoring and capture the flag in Last Titan Standing. This is a small problem that's been bothering me since launch, and while it isn't a particularly big issue, I would still love to see it addressed. Let's start with capture the flag first. When playing a game of CTF, good players will analyze what's going on throughout the match and play different roles depending on what the situation calls for. But unfortunately, capture the flag never properly rewards players who aren't playing offense. CTF is one of my favorite modes and I often play with one of my friends. I usually play offense while he plays defense, but since he chooses to defend the flag, he's almost always doomed to the bottom of the scoreboard. It's extremely unfair since in many games, he's the reason our team wins, but I still end up getting MVP simply because the scoreboard only really takes flag captures into account. If someone has 10 flag returns but one of their teammates has a single flag capture, that player will always be higher on the scoreboard even though they contributed less. To fix this issue, I think Capture the Flag should have a more complex point-based scoring system. Instead of the scoreboard just showing flag captures, returns, and kills, it should also show players' score, and MVP should be assigned to the player who has the highest. Players earn score by doing various different things that contribute to the objective. Killing an enemy pilot might net you 5 points, while killing a flag carrier might net you 50. You should also receive more points for killing enemy players who are in close proximity to either your own or the enemy's flag, as these kills are much more important. For flag captures and returns, I think it'd be cool if the amount of points you gain was determined by how far the flag was from your base. So if you pick up the enemy flag and get it halfway to your team's base but then die, if a teammate picks up the flag and brings it the rest of the way, you would still get 50 out of the 100 points awarded. Similarly, if you kill the enemy flag carrier and return the flag, the points you receive would be determined by how close it is to the enemy's base. If you kill an enemy flag carrier right next to your flag spawn point and then return it, you would only get a small amount of points, but if you killed them right next to their flag spawn point and returned the flag, you would receive a much higher amount of points. I think this change would really help players feel adequately rewarded for their efforts, rather than offensive players always getting MVP. Last Titan Standing has a similar issue where Titan kills are prioritized by the scoreboard more than anything else, even though Titan damage is a much better indicator of who actually contributed the most to the team. This has led to some Titans, most notably Ronin, almost always ending up at the top of the scoreboard simply because he's the fastest at catching up to enemy Titans and finishing them off. As a North Star player, this is infuriating. Landing a perfectly placed critical hit on an enemy only for some scumbag on your team to phase through you and steal your kill is absolutely rage-inducing. And honestly, I wouldn't really mind this if it wasn't for the scoring system, since I understand that Ronan's playstyle lends himself to the flanking and finishing role. It's just annoying when the game ends and you have 90,000 Titan damage, but still end up at the bottom of the scoreboard since you only got one kill. Getting a kill is still really important, but I personally only value it at around 5,000 Titan damage. So similarly to CTF, what if Last Titan Standing had a similar scoring system where we combine both of these factors? Instead of only valuing kills, your score would be your Titan damage plus 5,000 for each kill you get. I think this would go a long way in helping the other Titans feel a bit more represented on the scoreboard, and might even encourage a bit more Titan variety within the mode. Like I said before, this is a really tiny nitpick, but it's still something that bothers me whenever I play Titanfall 2, and I really hope this changes for Titanfall 3. With Titanfall 2 came networks, a great feature that I only feel scratched the surface of its true potential. As it stands right now, I think the way that Titanfall 2's networks function is more than adequate for an in-game clan system, but it could be so much more. For Titanfall 3, I can see networks evolving into more of an in-game social network than a clan system, and I think a great first step towards this objective would be to have Discord integration. Originally, I was thinking of this whole new network social forum idea, but then I realized while writing everything out that I was pretty much just describing Discord. Since Discord is already a widely used and loved program, I think it would be the ideal social network to integrate into networks. While this could work by just opening a Discord app, ideally the in-game networks could be blended into the existing Discord servers. Being able to send a message on Discord that actually appears in the network tab would be much more seamless than having to open up a separate app and check for new messages outside of the game itself. From the Networks tab, owners could send messages, share clips and videos, and organize events without even having to leave the game or turn their computer on. What would be even better is if players could access the Networks tab when in a multiplayer match, campaign mission, or private lobby. This would help network members coordinate with each other much easier, and with Discord integration, players could even communicate with members who aren't even in the game. There are plenty of times where I'm on my Xbox while my friends are on Discord, and it would be nice just to message them directly without having to boot up my PC and see who's all online. In addition to Discord integration, I think there are a few more social features that could also be very nice to have. In Titanfall 2, networks have a section where you can set whether or not you want players to have microphones. One change I would make to this option would be to replace the mic preferred setting with a mic required setting. Players could still join the network without having a microphone, but couldn't accept network invites unless they had their microphone plugged in. This option would allow people to create more socially oriented networks that actually ensure that members will have a social gaming experience, since as it stands right now, a light reminder to plug in your microphone isn't doing that much to encourage socializing. Of course, this setting could always be changed by the network owner and admins at any time. But while these social features could easily handle network communication and organization, I think it's also important to consider what new things the network itself could bring to Titanfall 3. One idea that I've had in the back of my mind for a little while now is a form of network progression. The basic idea is that as you and your network progress, you'll unlock new rewards for all the members or your networks as a whole. For example, maybe there would be a customizable network banner, and as you complete various network challenges, you'll unlock new visuals to add to your banner. Think of it like the Call of Duty emblem creator, but with some cool Titanfall related images to add. But also be careful with what images you include, as this could also lead people to creating one of those dick emblems or just writing a bunch of racial slurs. For this reason, I would probably recommend staying away from custom shapes and letters and stick to pre-made images and effects. If you look at the player banners actually, there are some pretty cool art assets in there that I would love to play around with and combine to create something completely unique. I would probably do everything in my power to unlock all the assets to recreate the creation of Jack emblem, as that was probably the best $3 I've ever spent. Players could rotate, scale, and change the colors on each image to give them the most amount of options for creating a completely original network banner. In addition to images, it would also be cool if you could have some custom effects as well, kind of like the fire, prism, and gold effects on some of the player emblems. But some other cool ones would be mist, rain, and electricity. Putting network banners aside, unlockables which affect all members like weapon skins, Titan nose arts, and a clan tag option on your weapons could also be earned, giving a reason for members to contribute to their network. As for how players could earn these items, I think it would be really cool if they were rewards for completing network challenges. These challenges would vary in difficulty, but would be designed in a way which encouraged players to play together in their network. Some of these would be fairly straightforward, like obtaining a certain number of SMG kills within a week to earn a new weapon skin. This type of challenge would probably need to scale depending on how many members are active within a network. So if you have only 8 active members, you would only need 800 SMG kills, whereas if you had 100 active members, you would need 10,000 SMG kills. Upon completion of the challenge, all players who had that network set as active would be rewarded with the new weapon skin. Now that's a pretty basic example, but some of these challenges could be a lot more difficult and only reward players who directly took part in it. Something like complete Frontier Defense on Insane with a full party of network members without a single death. Another one could be win 5 multiplayer games in a row with a full party of network members. Ideally, these challenges reward players for communicating and working together, which is what I think the overall point of network should be. Network rewards should be completely exclusive and unattainable with real money, merits, or personal player progression. This would ensure that network rewards feel unique and valuable and encourage more use of the network's feature overall. And with the release of new DLCs, Respawn could add more network rewards and challenges for players to complete, in addition to new maps, weapons, titans, and purchasable content. With these features implemented, I think networks could go from a good feature in Titanfall 2 to one of the best features in Titanfall 3. For the final topic of this video, I want to talk about the playlist selections for Titanfall 3. Not to be confused with the game modes, since that will have its own video entirely. This section will be fairly short since I think that Titanfall 2 has one of the best playlist systems I've ever used. Mixtape matchmaking gives players the best control over what they want to play, and I think it's one of the biggest reasons why people are still able to play Titanfall 2, even though it has such a low population. However, one area that I feel Titanfall 2 falls behind other games is that the playlist selections don't really incentivize players to return to the game week after week. That may seem somewhat strange since Titanfall 2 has a weekly rotational playlist with some different game modes. But in my opinion, those game modes are a bit stale and somewhat mundane in comparison to what they could be. When CTF Nitro or Marked for Death comes up in rotation, I always add them to my mixtape but never find a match simply because nobody else is playing them. I don't feel that these modes are unique or interesting enough to really warrant too much excitement, and most players just stick to attrition instead. I was actually quite disappointed when I logged on to Titanfall 2 the other day and tried to play the Glitch 24/7 playlist. When I think about exciting playlists that got me logging on every week, no other game can compare to Halo 3's Double EXP Weekend. The way it worked was that every weekend, the Double EXP playlist would come around featuring one of a few different wacky game modes, and some of these were pretty insane. My favorites were Griftball, Rocket Race, Maption Sack, and of course, Living Dead. Every Friday was super exciting as me and my friends would rush home to check which game mode was featured that week. Living Dead was easily our favorite, and when it came up, we would immediately text each other, hop on our Xboxes, lock ourselves in our rooms, and just play until 2 AM all weekend long. Titanfall absolutely needs this. A double merit weekend playlist with some crazy, unique, and fun game modes you just can't find anywhere else. Of course, I think the value of merits needs to increase, but that's a topic for another time. I'm not sure what kind of game modes they could try, but if I think of any, I'll include them in my video that specifically focuses on game modes. Now I know some of you may be thinking, why just a weekend and not an entire week? It's a fair question, but I would argue that limiting the playlist to just a weekend helps to keep the magic alive. When Halo Reach released with a dedicated Living Dead playlist, it lost all of its excitement and me and my friends quickly grew bored of the experience. Sometimes a little restraint and limitation can actually add a lot, and if players quickly grew bored of these modes, then what was the point of including them in the first place? It's also important to note that Double Merit Weekend doesn't have to be a replacement for the weekly rotational playlist, which I would love to come back as well. Another way that I think the playlist could improve is by adding mixtapes inside the mixtape. Let me explain what I mean. Back when Titanfall 2 first launched, there was a dedicated mixtape playlist which featured a wide variety of modes. I pretty much played this playlist exclusively until the playlist was removed. Granted, the introduction of mixtape matchmaking made this playlist completely redundant and unnecessary. However, there's a large section of the community who either doesn't like Pilot or Titan gameplay, or doesn't feel that they mix well together. While I'm not one of these players, I still think they deserve some attention. As it stands right now, there are only 2 Pilot exclusive game modes, Pilots vs. Pilots and Livefire, and 2 Titan exclusive game modes, Last Titan Standing and Titan Brawl. While I'm sure these playlists are appreciated, I think there are some players who want a bit more variety. So what if there was a Pilots only and a Titans only mixtape playlist? Both of these playlists would have a wide variety of game modes, but would feature either Pilot or Titan exclusive gameplay. Now I'm not sure how large this segment of the community is, which is why I think these mixtapes should be incorporated into the weekly rotational playlist. As for what these game modes could be, once again I'll discuss that in my video about game modes. Lastly, I want to talk about my opinions on a ranked playlist for Titanfall 3. I think a lot of people won't like what I have to say about this topic since I don't actually want to see a ranked playlist. Maybe it's just me, but I feel that too many games are trying too hard to be an esport, and while these games are a lot more competitive, I feel it comes at the cost of fun factor. Many people in Titanfall community say that Titanfall 1 was a more competitive game, and while I would probably agree, I think Titanfall 2 was overall a better and more fun game. In my opinion, Titanfall 2 expresses a lot more creative freedom than Titanfall 1 ever did. It took more risks, and in my opinion, it paid off. I know some people will say, well, it doesn't hurt you if other people get a competitive playlist, just don't play it. But I would actually disagree. I think that if game developers are serious about capturing a competitive crowd, they'll design their game around it. Everything from weapon and Titan balance to maps and progression will be affected, and I don't want to see that happen. One of the things I love about Titanfall 2 is how many unique weapons there are, like the EPG, Mozambique, Cold War, and Double Take. Creating weird loadouts and trying to do my best with them is probably my favorite thing to do in the game, and I would hate if I felt the need to equip meta weapons just to keep up. It already annoys me quite a bit when people use G2s and Spitfires, since those weapons make it nearly impossible for me to use my more creative loadouts. The most satisfying challenge I ever completed in all of my years playing video games was unlocking the Stoic Dark camo on all the weapons in Titanfall 2. Now imagine if unlocking Stoic Dark required me to reach the rank of Platinum in a ranked playlist. A system like that would honestly ruin the progression for me, knowing that certain items are locked unless I play all sweaty with meta weapons and grind out a competitive playlist. I wouldn't be opposed to the rank chip returning, so long as it doesn't affect the rest of the game, especially the progression. Now I know that some of you may think that it's hypocritical to advocate for skill-based progression through network unlocks, while also stating that I don't want to see skill-based progression through a ranked playlist. But there's one key difference between ranked progression and other forms of progression that's extremely important to consider. There's no harm in trying with other forms of progression, while one mistake in a ranked playlist could derank you. It adds a significant layer of pressure upon the experience, and in a game that incentivizes aggressive gameplay and playstyle variety, I don't think Titanfall is the type of game that would really benefit from it. However, there is another way that I think the competitive community could be catered to, but I'll talk about that in my next video discussing map design and custom content. And that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. Let me know what you guys think about anything I said in this video. Please remember to be respectful to everyone, especially where casual and competitive play is concerned. I know I may not have the most popular opinion on the matter, and I would be happy to clarify my reasons even further down in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next part.